What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another movie review, and today we are talking about 1984's Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Oh man, talk about an all-time iconic theme song. Like, oh, Ghostbusters really did it right. Buster makes me feel good. You know, like, talk about like just like GoldenEye, like the video game. They're like, hey, we just need some background music, you know, nothing too crazy, just like a little bit of a soundtrack. And they were like, cool, we got you. And then they just went like and cooked so fucking hard and just like keyboard on fire as they're cooking up that shit. You know what I mean? Like, absolute banger. But this film is from Ivan Reitman, who I didn't necessarily recognize. You know, he did Ghostbusters 1 and 2. And he also did other films that I recognize, like No Strings Attached, Twins, Draft Day, 6 Days, 7 Nights is a pretty iconic movie. My Super Ex-Girlfriend, I remember growing up. You know, so he hasn't directed too much, but he's done things that, like, I definitely recognize, you know? And this film stars Bill Murray as VENKMAN, Dan Aykroyd as Ray STANTZ, Sigourney Weaver as Dana Barrett, Harold Ramis as Egon Spengler, Rick Moranis in here. I love Rick Moranis. I really hope he returns to acting. I think he's supposed to, but like, it says he's only done 37 films, and he should have been an actor that did so much more. But I believe, like, tragic story with Rick Moranis, his wife passed, and he ended up quitting acting and staying home to raise the kids. So he's just, like, a genuinely good friggin' dude. But, like, if you guys remember Rick Moranis from things like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Brother Bear, Little Shop of Horrors, Spaceballs, the Flintstones movie, I don't remember him being in that, but apparently, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. Wasn't he in Blob? Maybe I'm mistaken, but wasn't there a Rick Moranis movie where he was like the Goo or the Blob or something? I mean, the only movies that came up looked like horror films, but like, I could be mistaken. Maybe that's just a moment in Honey When I Shrunk the Kids type thing. He gets covered in goo or something. I don't know. But Ghostbusters here is definitely one of the most iconic films of the 80s and of, you know, my generation. You also have Ernie, Hudson in there as Winston. The 4 actors as the badass Ghostbusters, you know, like, they're funny, but they're also like so fitting, and you know, they each make up the members of this team so perfectly. Like, going back and watching this, I remember seeing it as a kid, but I hadn't watched it in so long. It was the type of movie that my dad loved and forced me to watch type shit, and I never was a big fan of it. You know, it was kind of creepy when I was a kid, but watching it now, you know, I can see why maybe he liked it so much. The theme song, the actors, it's funny, but it also has like the horror vibes, gets you a little bit scary. I mean, Sigourney Weaver has grown on me through my life as I've gotten to see more and more of her acting career, whether it's been in Avatar or Aliens, you know what I mean? Like, she's a freaking beast. And now I'm going back and watching this, I'm like, God damn, she's in friggin' Ghostbusters too? What else does she need? She's got Aliens, Avatar, Ghostbusters. Like, talk about a sci-fi queen, you know what I mean? Like, she's been in everything that was the biggest, you know what I mean? Like, friggin' GOAT. I love Sigourney Weaver so much. And she's like young in her 80s, in the 80s in here, and like so sexy. And oh God. But then she gets, poor Dana, ends up, you know, taken over by this demon something. And then, you know, as a kid I was actually kind of scared of it because of the faces the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man makes. But as soon as he's walking down the street, it's so comical, you know what I mean? Looking at Dan Aykroyd's face and be like, what did you think of? You weren't supposed to think of anything. I just couldn't stop it. I just couldn't not think of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah, like, and then he's, you know, 100 feet tall or whatever. But Dan Aykroyd, I know from the Blues Brothers. I love him in the Blues Brothers. I love the Blues Brothers movie so much. Growing up, I loved it so much. John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd as Elwood Blues and Jake Blues. absolutely legendary movie. There should have been a Blues Brothers 2, you know what I mean? But there was a Ghostbuster 2, 3, I think there's 4 of them maybe 5. So I'm now going to continue on my spooky season rewatch while, you know, we're heading towards Halloween. I'm going to be adding the Ghostbuster films to my spooky season movie review list here. And, you know, collecting franchises like I like to do. You know, I'm currently doing the Scream franchise as well. I started the Mummy franchise, but I haven't been able to find the Mummy 3, so I'm still working on that. But as of right now, not too many spooky season movies that I've done this year, but Ghostbusters is getting added to that list. Maybe not such a horror movie, but definitely when I think of Halloween, I think of the Ghostbusters, and I think of, like, this movie as a spooky season movie. Comment below if you disagree. Maybe you don't think it's a spooky season movie, but if you have other spooky season movie recommendations, like, or even thoughts, like I've always thought that E.T. was a spooky season Halloween movie because they're trick-or-treating in the film, and many of people will go as E.T. as a Halloween costume, but some people don't think of it as a Halloween movie. Or like The Wizard of Oz, I also think of like a spooky season movie, and some people don't. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Send them to me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on spooky season movies. And if you have any recommendations, please leave those down in the comment section below. One of the best ways to support the channel is commenting below, subscribing, liking this video if you haven't, and hitting that bell so you don't miss the next movie review and you get the notification when that comes out. Thank you guys so much for sticking around this far into the video. Overall, I gave this movie about 3.5 out of 5 stars, about a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It's probably closer to like a 4 out of 5, maybe an 8 out of 10, but I wanted to be able to give the second, third, and fourth movies, you know, breathing room to be better, be worse, you know what I mean? So currently, a 3.5 out of 5 stars, about a 7 out of 10. If I had to give it a true 10 score, it's maybe like a 7.7, 7.8 out of 10, but still pretty good. I really liked it. You know, it's so nostalgic. It's got those like early vibes and early memories of like growing up for me, but it's still a bit creepy. It still has some weird moments in it. And you know, if it's ghosts, I think I prefer Casper. That's just me though. But comment below your thoughts on Ghostbusters. I'd love to hear them down in the comment section below, and I'd love to chat more with you about spooky season. But once again, my name is Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for dropping on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace!